up, Mr. President, because of these tariffs. Who do you think voters should hold responsible?
Oh, I think what's going to go up is jobs are going to go up, and prices could go up somewhat short term, but prices will also go down. And I think the farmers are going to be helped by this very much.
Frank, who did you vote for president?
Mr. Trump.
Right?
Trump.
Mr. Trump.
If the election were today, Frank, would you vote for Donald Trump?
No way.
Couldn't happen. No.
I mean, who would have thought that a thrice married billionaire who's been sued more times than he's had affairs wouldn't hold up his part of the deal?
Tons of food stored away at ports across the country could now go to waste following the shutdown of USAID.
Yeah, the government agency relied on the Port of Houston, among others, to send vital food aid to people in need overseas.
Victor Jacobo joins us live from Pasadena to explain why this is happening. Victor.
Yeah, that's right. President Trump putting a halt on foreign aid. That includes food that is sent through USAID to international destinations that need that aid. We learned today that farmers from Texas send their wheat down to ports here in the Houston area. We get rice from Louisiana and other crops from other states as well as part of that program. Now the short-term and long-term future of that program and those who benefit from it is now in limbo. On social media, President Donald Trump alleging unspecified corruption at USAID and calling to close it down. He added more during comments at the White House today.
When you look at USAID, that's a fraud. The whole thing is a fraud. Very little being put to good use.
The pause by Trump keeping USAID workers at home and impacting food that travels through the port of Houston and out into the world as part of the agency's food aid program.
Tons of food is sitting in Houston and it's got nowhere to go because there's no one there to coordinate it to get to people around the world. So.
Representative Angie Craig is a ranking Democrat on the U.S. House Agriculture Committee. Her office says 235,000 tons of wheat is ready for shipment in Houston, but without USAID staff to coordinate travel, the wheat is stranded in warehouses. On top of that, about 30,000 metric tons of food commodities are sitting on the floor of USAID warehouses in Houston, unable to load onto ships. And that's a similar situation in ports across the U.S.
Over $2 billion is grown every single year in America and sold into this program. So it's not just cutting USAID, it's also cutting business for family farmers in this country.
Craig says the Trump administration's decision to halt foreign aid is likely to have ripple effects for people here in the U.S.
There are serious unintended consequences, not just for USAID and the people that it helps, but also to America's farm economy and the economy right here in Texas.
Well, it turns out that Musk's attempt to close down USAID, despite the fact that he has no statutory or constitutional authority to do so, is bad for American farmers, those farmers who voted for Trump. Paul Martin, the Inspector General for USAID, wrote a report about the kind of thing that Musk was doing, this instant stopping of USAID and the ramifications of the way Musk handled trying to freeze the funds and dismantle essentially USAID in a matter of days. He reported that $500 million of food was wasting as a result of that. He was promptly fired by Trump for speaking the truth. Well, it also turns out that this food was produced by American farmers. So USAID, although it was considered soft power and was helping countries around the world, it was also helping Americans because American farmers were providing the food that was part of the food and resources being used by USAID. In fact, evidently, billions of dollars will be gone from American farmers only as a result of USAID. I mean, Trump and Musk are doing other things that will also affect American farmers, but the closure of USAID alone will mean that American farmers will lose in the billions of dollars because they will not be paid by the U.S. government to provide food around the world under the USAID program.
Just because I voted for somebody doesn't mean that it's your Trump. I don't idolize him. There's some people that do idolize him. I don't idolize him. I still think there's a lot of things that he's doing wrong. But like I said in previous videos, you get two choices. So we'll start off by saying it's not your Trump. And then it says, if you didn't need it, then why do you need it now? So the way that this handout works is I sign a contract saying that I am going to front the money for this. I'm going to do the work. And then once I complete that, then they give me the cost sharing portion as part of the contract. So I fronted the money on it. I've done the labor, and now they're saying, hey, the money's not there. It's frozen. We can't give it back to you. So now I've got my money tied up in it. And it's something that I wouldn't have done. I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for the cost sharing that the program allowed. So it's not something that I had to have in order to run the farm. It was just a benefit that did help me. It's not something that I had to have, but now that I've got my money in it, I need my money back out of it. Also, everybody says in the comments, Project 2025, didn't you read that? That's his platform. From my understanding, that wasn't his platform. That's not what he's running on. Project 2025, I did not read Project 2025 because from my understanding, that's not what he was running on. That's what I was told, and that's the information that I had. I don't have TV out here. I don't have news channels. I don't watch the news because every time you turn on the news, this news channel's saying, oh, this news channel's lying about this. The other news channel says, oh, this news channel's lying about this. I don't have time to filter through the bullshit. I'm not going to figure out who's lying, who's not. You get on the internet and then everybody says, well, the left's lying, the right's lying. It's just a bunch of bullshit. Everybody's arguing with each other, and it's never the people against the politicians. It's the politicians against the politicians, and it's the people against the people. That's what I don't understand. We need to unite and be together, but then you're saying, oh, well, if you didn't vote for my party, we're not uniting with you. Well, that's the fucking problem. That's the problem. That we have a whole lot of things that we agree on that we could actually solve problems with if we'd all just settle down and actually have conversations.
Trump's actions are hurting Americans, American farmers, many of them who voted for him. Not only is the closure of USAID affecting American farmers, but the freezing of the funds under the Inflation Reduction Act also primarily affects American farmers. Now, we know that the Inflation Reduction Act was passed under the Biden administration, and that seems to be the sole reason that Trump wants to attack it. But 78% of the $346 billion of benefits under that act goes to primarily rural congressional districts, creating 43,570 jobs in these rural communities across 31 states. So Trump has many actions he's taking that are impacting and hurting American farmers. You have the closure of USAID, directly meaning that these farmers aren't going to get paid for food as they were before. Then you have this freezing of the funds under the Inflation Reduction Act, despite the fact that a lot of farmers have relied on that and put some upfront costs expecting the reciprocation of the government funding under this act, also hurting American farmers. And then you have, of course, what's happening with the mass deportation, and you have people, undocumented workers, afraid to show up to work at, yes, American farms. So you have so many different areas that are affecting American farms. And then the economy in general, the tariffs that he's putting, and perhaps even more tariffs that will impact the farmers. The tariffs that he's already putting, that Trump has already announced, that tariffs are already announced, economists are saying are going to increase inflation because we are in an area of what they call hot inflation. We already have too much inflation, essentially, to add tariffs on top of it. But Trump and Musk who seems to have the power of the president, despite the fact that he's not elected, has not been confirmed by the Senate, is making these kind of decisions that directly affect all American workers, but specifically American farmers.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.